The Grand Council chamber hummed with tension as Ambassador Vexil of the Corthan Empire slammed 3 of his appendages against the obsidian table. His eye stalks quivered with barely contained frustration. "This is absolutely absurd," he bellowed, his translator struggling to keep up with his rapid clicks and whistles. "The humans cannot possibly be trusted with galactic security protocols. They are predators, apex hunters. Their entire evolutionary history screams danger." Counselor Myrax, a tall, willowy being from the pacifist Trainoa collective, nodded slowly. Her bioluminescent skin flickered in agreement, casting dancing shadows across the chamber walls. Ambassador Vexil raises valid concerns. The natural order dictates a simple truth. Predators consume prey. They do not nurture it. They do not protect it. They certainly do not form emotional bonds with it. Captain Jake Morrison sat quietly in the human delegation chair, a slight smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. He'd been listening to this debate for 3 hours now, and honestly, he was getting a bit tired of the same arguments being recycled over and over again. His colleague, Dr. Emma Frost, sat beside him, rolling her eyes so hard they might have achieved orbit. "The biological imperative is clear," continued Vexil, warming to his topic. "Predator species like the humans lack the fundamental capacity for cross-species empathy. Their hunting instincts, their carnivorous nature, their binocular vision designed specifically for tracking prey, all of this makes them fundamentally incompatible with peaceful coexistence." "Oh, for crying out loud," muttered Emma under her breath. Though not quite quietly enough, Vexil's eye stalks swiveled toward her with alarming speed. "Does the human scientist wish to contribute something meaningful to this discussion?" Emma straightened in her chair, her expression shifting from annoyed to dangerously pleasant. "Actually, yes. I have a question for the esteemed council." "Proceed," said High Chancellor Torvis, a floating crystalloid entity who served as the council's mediator. "You keep talking about predators never adopting prey, right? About how it's biologically impossible for a hunting species to form nurturing bonds with potential food sources." Emma's smile grew wider, more dangerous. "Correct," Vexil said smugly. "It is a universal constant. We have observed thousands of species across millions of years. The pattern never changes." Emma pulled out her datapad and began swiping through images. "So, if I showed you evidence that directly contradicts this so-called universal constant, would you be willing to reconsider your position on humanity?" Myrax's bioluminescence shifted to a suspicious orange hue. "What kind of evidence?" "Photographic documentation from Earth. Multiple examples, spanning centuries." Emma's fingers danced across the screen. "Captain Morrison, would you mind helping me project these onto the main display?" Jake grinned and activated the holographic projector. "With absolute pleasure, Doctor." The first image materialized above the council table, a massive orange tabby cat, sprawled across a human's lap, belly exposed, clearly in the throes of a blissful nap. The human's hand was gently scratching behind the cat's ears. Silence descended upon the chamber like a heavy blanket. The Vexil's eye stalks went rigid. What is that creature?" "That," Emma said cheerfully, "is a domestic cat. Felis catus, a small carnivorous predator that humans have lived with for approximately 10,000 years." "Lived with?" Myrax's voice cracked slightly. "You mean, as livestock?" Jake let out a bark of laughter. "Oh, this is going to be fun. No, counselor, not as livestock. As companions. As family members. As beloved household pets." "Impossible." Vexil's appendages flailed wildly. "You are predators. That creature is also clearly a predator. Look at those eyes. Those teeth visible in its open mouth. This makes no sense." Emma advanced to the next image. A fluffy Persian cat wearing a tiny hat, looking absolutely disgusted with its owner, who was making kissy faces at it. "Here we have Mr. Whiskers," Emma narrated with barely suppressed glee. "Owned by a woman named Patricia in a place called Minnesota. Patricia bought Mr. Whiskers a wardrobe of 14 different outfits. For holidays. She also throws him a birthday party every year." Torvis's crystalloid form began flickering erratically. "The prey species tolerates this treatment." "Oh, cats aren't prey," Jake interjected. "They're actually apex predators in their size category. Incredibly efficient hunters. They've been documented causing the extinction of multiple species on isolated islands." Vexil looked like he might spontaneously combust. Then why would you keep such dangerous creatures in your homes? Emma's grin could have powered a small city. Because they're cute. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Vexil's appendages thrashed so violently that he knocked over a ceremonial water vessel, sending luminescent liquid cascading across the floor. Myrax's bioluminescence flickered through every color in the visible spectrum, and several she probably wasn't supposed to display in polite company. Cute, Vexil shrieked, his translator crackling with static from the sheer volume. You share your living spaces with deadly hunters because you find them aesthetically pleasing. Well, when you put it like that, it sounds weird, Jake said, leaning back in his chair with his hands behind his head. But yeah, pretty much. Should we show them the next picture, Emma? Oh, absolutely. Emma swiped to another image. This one showed a burly, tattooed man with a thick beard, fast asleep on a couch. Curled up on his chest was a tiny kitten, no bigger than his palm, also sleeping. The man's massive hand was curved protectively around the little fur ball. This is Marcus. He's a construction worker in Texas. That's Peanut. Marcus found Peanut abandoned in a dumpster behind a grocery store. He bottle-fed her every 2 hours for 3 weeks until she was strong enough to eat solid food. Counselor Dryn, a methane-breathing representative who had been silent until now, finally spoke through his environmental suit speakers. I do not understand. If the small predator was weak and defenseless, why did this Marcus not simply eliminate it? Or ignore it? Why invest valuable time and resources into keeping it alive? Emma and Jake exchanged glances. Because she needed help, Jake said simply, as if this explained everything. That is not an answer. Vexil's eye stalks were now tied in what looked like a knot. That is emotional reasoning. Predators do not operate on emotional reasoning. They operate on survival instinct and resource acquisition. Yeah, about that, Emma said, pulling up another image. This is Colonel Richard Hayes, retired military officer, highly decorated, fought in 3 separate conflicts. Look at what's on his shoulder. The hologram showed an older human male in formal military dress. Perched regally on his shoulder was a sleek black cat with golden eyes, wearing a miniature military collar. That's Sergeant Boots. Richard adopted him 12 years ago. Sergeant Boots has his own military rank, his own identification papers, and receives a monthly allowance for food and medical care. When Richard moved overseas, he spent $4,000 on transportation and quarantine fees to bring Sergeant Boots with him. He was offered promotions that he turned down because they would have required leaving Sergeant Boots behind for extended periods. High Chancellor Torvis's form had stopped flickering and was now a solid, shocked blue. A military commander, a trained warrior, turned down career advancement for a small predatory animal. Yep, Jake said, popping the P sound with evident satisfaction that Myrax's bioluminescence had settled into a confused purple hue. But this contradicts all known behavioral patterns. Predators are supposed to be territorial, aggressive, resource-focused. They do not sacrifice personal gain for creatures that provide no tactical advantage. Oh, but cats do provide advantages, Emma countered, advancing to the next image. This one showed a young woman working at a computer while a gray-striped cat lay across her keyboard, completely obscuring her work. The woman's face showed a mixture of exasperation and affection. This is Jennifer. She's a programmer. That's Admiral Fluffington. Jennifer claims Admiral Fluffington helps reduce her stress levels. Studies have shown that the sound cats make when content, called purring, has therapeutic effects on humans. Lower blood pressure, reduced anxiety, faster healing. So you keep them for medical purposes? Dryn asked hopefully, clearly grasping for any logical explanation. Sometimes, Jake admitted. But mostly we keep them because we love them. Love. Vexil looked like he might actually explode. Predators do not love their prey. Cats aren't our prey. Emma shot back, her patience clearly wearing thin. How many times do we have to explain this? We don't eat cats. Then what do they provide? Vexil demanded. Security? Labor? Some form of service. Jake scratched his chin thoughtfully. Well, sometimes they catch mice. But mostly they just exist in our homes, knock stuff off tables, ignore us when we call them, demand food at 3 in the morning, and occasionally grace us with affection on their terms, and their terms only. The entire council stared at him in stunned silence. And you tolerate this behavior? Torvis asked weakly. Tolerate. Emma laughed. We have an entire section of Earth's digital network dedicated to sharing images and videos of cats doing ridiculous things. It's one of the most popular forms of entertainment our species has ever created. Billions of humans spend hours every day looking at cat content. She pulled up a rapid-fire slideshow. Cats in boxes, cats knocking glasses off counters, cats startled by cucumbers, cats stealing food, cats sleeping in impossible positions, cats glaring at their owners with pure disdain. This cannot be real, Myrax whispered, her entire body now a pale, shocked white. This must be some form of human deception. Oh, it gets better, Jake said, clearly enjoying himself far too much. Should we tell them about the ancient Egyptians? Emma's eyes lit up. Oh yes, let's tell them about the ancient Egyptians. Emma cleared her throat dramatically and pulled up a new series of images showing ancient hieroglyphics, golden statues, and elaborate paintings on tomb walls, all featuring cats in positions of obvious importance and reverence. So approximately 4,000 years ago, there was this civilization called Ancient Egypt. Advanced for their time, built massive architectural wonders, developed complex mathematics, medicine, engineering. Real impressive stuff. Get to the point, Dr. Vexil grumbled, though his eye stalks were fixated on the images. The point, Ambassador, is that these highly advanced humans worshipped cats as gods. The silence that followed could have suffocated stars. I beg your pardon. Torvis's form flickered rapidly between several colors that probably indicated severe confusion. Jake leaned forward, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. You heard her right. The ancient Egyptians considered cats to be sacred animals, divine beings. They had a goddess named Batet who was depicted as a cat. Killing a cat, even accidentally, was punishable by death. When a family cat died, the whole household would go into mourning. They'd shave their eyebrows off as a sign of grief. They mutilated themselves over the death of a small predator. DRWN's suit speakers crackled with disbelief. Oh, it gets better, Emma said, absolutely radiant with mischief. They mummified their cats, preserved their bodies with the same techniques they used for human royalty. We found entire cat cemeteries. Thousands upon thousands of mummified cats, carefully wrapped, sometimes buried with mummified mice so they'd have snacks in the afterlife. Vexil's appendages hung limply at his sides. Snacks. In the afterlife. For predators that you worshipped. Correct, Emma said brightly. Myrax had gone completely transparent, which apparently was the Trainoa equivalent of fainting while still conscious. This is insanity. Actual insanity. Your entire species is suffering from some form of collective psychological disorder. Wait until you hear about the modern stuff, Jake said. Emma, show them the industry statistics. Emma pulled up a data chart that filled the holographic display. The current Earth pet care industry is worth approximately $136 billion annually. That's billion with a B. Humans spend this money on food, medical care, toys, furniture, clothing, and accessories for their cats and other pets. 136 billion, Torvis repeated faintly. That could fund entire planetary defense systems. Or feed millions of hungry beings, DRYNN added, his tone somewhere between horrified and awed. Oh, we do that too, Jake said casually. We're capable of multitasking. But yeah, we spend an absurd amount of money making sure our cats are happy, healthy, and entertained. Emma switched to another image showing an elaborate multi-level cat tower that looked like it belonged in an expensive furniture showroom. This is a cat tree. Costs about $800. Provides climbing surfaces, scratching posts, and elevated sleeping platforms for cats. Many humans own multiple units. Why would the cats need elevated sleeping platforms? Vexil asked weakly. Because they like being up high, Jake said with a shrug. Makes them feel secure. So we buy them expensive furniture to climb on. Even though they are already safe in your homes, Myrax said slowly, trying to process this information. Even though they are already safe in our homes, Emma confirmed. Another image appeared showing a specialized water fountain designed for cats. This is a cat water fountain. It filters and circulates water because some cats prefer running water to still water. Costs about $50. We buy them because our cats are picky drinkers. Counselor DRYNN made a sound that his translator couldn't quite process. It came out as a strangled wheeze. There are cat cafes. Jake continued, clearly on a roll now. Businesses where humans pay money to sit in a room and drink coffee while cats wander around. Just to be near cats that aren't even their own cats. Some people pay to have their cats professionally groomed. Cat haircuts can cost over $100. Haircuts, Vexil repeated numbly. For creatures covered in fur. That naturally regulate their own coat. We also have cat hotels, Emma added. Luxury boarding facilities where cats stay when their owners travel. Private rooms, gourmet food, playtime sessions, even cat massages. Can run $200 per night. Cat massages, Torvis said, his form now a steady gray that probably indicated complete system shutdown. You pay other humans to massage your cats. Well, we want them to be relaxed and happy, Emma said, as if this was the most reasonable thing in the world. Jake pulled out his personal datapad. Want to see my cat? Her name's Luna. She's a rescue. Found her at a shelter 3 years ago. Best decision I ever made. He held up the device showing a white cat with odd blue eyes, sitting in a sunbeam looking absolutely majestic. She has anxiety, so she takes daily medication. Has her own room in my apartment. I installed shelves on the walls so she can climb around near the ceiling. Bought her a heated bed because she gets cold. She eats better than I do most days. You medicate a predator for emotional distress, Vexil said flatly. Yes. You gave it its own territory within your living space. Yes. You modified your dwelling to accommodate its preferences. Yes. You ensure its diet is superior to your own. Yes. Vexil's eye stalks drooped in complete defeat. I do not understand your species at all. That's okay, Jake said kindly. Most of the time, we don't understand ourselves either. But here's the thing you need to get, Ambassador. You keep saying predators never adopt prey. You keep insisting it's against nature, against biology, against every universal constant you've observed. But you're looking at it wrong. Emma nodded, picking up his thread. Humans didn't adopt prey. We adopted fellow predators. Small, efficient, deadly hunters who could have been competitors. Should have been competitors, according to your logic. And instead of fighting them, instead of eliminating them as threats, we invited them into our homes. We made them family. Jake stood up from his chair, his casual demeanor shifting into something more serious. The smile faded from his face, replaced by an intensity that made several council members lean back involuntarily. You want to know what that says about humanity, Ambassador Vexil? It says that we looked at creatures with sharp claws, sharper teeth, and hunting instincts honed over millions of years, and we said, you know what? Let's be friends. Emma rose as well, standing beside her colleague. We took animals that could scratch us, bite us, hunt the same prey we hunted, and we chose cooperation over competition. We chose companionship over conflict. That's not a weakness in human nature, Ambassador. That's our greatest strength. But it makes no logical sense. Vexil protested, though his voice had lost its earlier conviction. The resource expenditure alone is staggering. The time investment, the emotional vulnerability. What do you actually gain from this arrangement? Jake's expression softened, and he looked down at his datapad, at the picture of Luna sitting in her sunbeam. Companionship, comfort, joy, the feeling of being needed, the satisfaction of caring for something smaller than ourselves. The knowledge that we made one creature's life better just by loving it. Those are not tangible benefits, Dr. argued, but his tone was uncertain now. Aren't they? Emma challenged. Humans who live with pets report higher happiness levels, lower rates of depression, increased sense of purpose, longer lifespans in some studies. Children who grow up with animals develop stronger empathy skills, better emotional regulation, enhanced social bonds. She pulled up another image. An elderly man in a hospital bed, clearly unwell, with an orange tabby curled up carefully beside him, purring. This is Martin. He's 87 years old. Terminal illness. That's Marmalade. The hospital makes special exceptions to let Marmalade visit because Martin's health measurably improves when his cat is present. His blood pressure drops. His pain medication requirements decrease. He smiles. Myrax's bioluminescence shifted to a soft pink, a color none of them had seen from her before. The small predator provides medical benefits through mere presence. The small predator provides hope, Jake said quietly. Martin knows he's dying, but Marmalade gives him something to look forward to. Someone who needs him. A reason to keep fighting for one more day. High Chancellor Torvis's form began to pulse gently, a rhythmic pattern that suggested deep thought. I begin to comprehend something troubling, Captain Morrison. Your species does not view these cats as tools or resources, or even truly as separate beings, do you? No, Jake admitted. We view them as family. Family, Torvis repeated. You extend your most sacred social bonds to entirely different species. Predatory species. Species that provide no genetic advantage, no continuation of your bloodline, no traditional benefits that family structures evolved to ensure. Emma nodded slowly. When my cat Felix died last year, I cried for days. Took time off work. My friends sent condolence cards. My mother flew across the country to comfort me, because we all understood that I hadn't just lost a pet. I'd lost a family member who'd been with me for 16 years. 16 years, Vexil murmured. You maintained this bond for 16 years. Some cats live into their 20s, Jake added. That's 2 decades of companionship, of daily interaction, of shared routine. You wake up, and they're there. You come home from work, and they greet you. Well, sometimes they ignore you completely, but that's cats for you. You fall asleep, and they curl up nearby, day after day, year after year, until they become as essential to your life as breathing. Counselor Darwin's environmental suit hummed softly. And when they die, the grief is genuine. Devastatingly genuine, Emma confirmed. There are support groups for pet loss. Grief counselors who specialize in it. Because the pain of losing a beloved animal companion is real and profound and deserves to be acknowledged. Vexil's appendages trembled slightly. I have spent 3 hours arguing that your species cannot be trusted because you are predators. Because predators do not nurture, do not protect, do not love that which they could consume. And you have systematically proven that not only do humans do all of these things, you do them for creatures that you gain almost nothing practical from. We gain everything that matters, Jake said simply. Love isn't practical, Ambassador. Compassion isn't efficient. Empathy doesn't show up on resource allocation charts. But these are the things that make us human. These are the things that make life worth living. Emma pulled up one final image. It showed a young girl, maybe 7 years old, reading a book on a porch swing. Nestled in her lap was a tabby cat, and both of them looked utterly content. Sunlight filtered through trees overhead, casting dappled shadows across the peaceful scene. This is my niece Sophie and her cat Butterscotch. Sophie has autism. She struggles with social interaction, loud noises, unexpected changes in routine. But Butterscotch understands her in ways that many humans don't. When Sophie gets overwhelmed, Butterscotch comes and sits with her. No judgment, no demands, just quiet, furry presence. Sophie's parents say Butterscotch has done more for their daughter's emotional development than years of therapy. A predator teaching a young human emotional regulation, Myrax said wonderingly. Through simple companionship. Through love, Emma corrected. Because yes, we love them, but they love us back. Maybe not the way humans love each other. Maybe not even in ways we fully understand. But when Luna sees me come home and runs to greet me, when she curls up on my chest and purrs, when she brings me her toy and drops it at my feet asking me to play, that's love. Different from human love, but no less real. Torvis pulsed brightly. I believe I must reconsider my position on humanity's application for advanced security clearance. Vexil's eye stalk straightened in surprise. What? But High Chancellor, we still have 17 more arguments about why predator species cannot be trusted with sensitive operations. Do we, Ambassador? Torvis's form shifted to a warm gold. Because it seems to me that a species capable of forming genuine bonds with small predatory creatures they have no biological obligation to care for. A species that chooses compassion over practicality and love over logic might be exactly the kind of species we need in positions of galactic responsibility. Darwin's suit speakers crackled with what might have been laughter. The humans have weaponized cuteness. They have turned our own arguments against us by proving that their predatory nature is tempered by something we did not account for, an irrational but powerful capacity for interspecies affection. Jake grinned. So, does this mean we get the security clearance? It means, Torvis said slowly, that we need to completely restructure our understanding of what makes a species trustworthy. If humans can love cats, truly love them despite every logical reason not to, then perhaps they can be trusted to protect species they have even less in common with. Myrax's bioluminescence had settled into a thoughtful green. There is wisdom in this, I think. A species that protects the vulnerable simply because they exist, that finds joy in caring for creatures that offer little practical benefit, that mourns the loss of beings so different from themselves. Perhaps these are better indicators of trustworthiness than we realized. Vexil slumped in his seat, all fight gone from his appendages. I have been arguing galactic policy for 70 years. This is the first time I have ever been defeated by photographs of small furry creatures. I do not know whether to be impressed or concerned. Be both, Emma suggested with a smile. That's what we do. Jake sat back down, pulling up one more picture on his datapad. Luna, asleep in a patch of sunlight, one paw stretched out, whiskers twitching in some dream. You asked what we gained from this, Ambassador Vexil. Look at this picture. Really look at it. That's peace. That's trust. That's a creature who knows it's safe, cared for, loved. We gain the knowledge that we made that possible. And honestly, that's worth more than all the practical benefits in the galaxy. The council chamber fell silent, but it was a different silence than before. Not the stunned silence of shock, but the contemplative silence of minds changing, of old certainties crumbling, of new understanding taking root. High Chancellor Torvis pulsed once, decisively. Motion to grant humanity advanced security clearance and full council membership status. All in favor. One by one, hands, appendages, and bioluminescent signals rose in agreement. Even Vexil, after a long moment, raised 3 of his appendages. I still think you are all completely insane. But perhaps that is exactly what the galaxy needs. Motion approved. Jake and Emma exchanged victorious grins. Gentle beings of the council, Jake said, standing for a formal bow. Thank you for your trust. I promise we won't let you down. Also, I'm starting an office pool for how long it takes before half of you adopt cats of your own. Emma's got 3 months. I'm betting 6 weeks. Absolutely not, Vexil declared. I am a serious diplomat. I would never succumb to such irrational sentiment over a small predatory creature with soft fur and large eyes and tiny toe beans. And why are you all looking at me like that? Emma was already pulling up pictures of kittens available for adoption at Earth shelters. Myrax leaned over to look, her bioluminescence shifting to an interested yellow. And somewhere, on a distant blue planet, an orange tabby cat yawned, stretched in a sunbeam, and went back to sleep, completely unaware that it had just helped change the course of galactic history. So what did you think? Did this story surprise you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this sci-fi story, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-blowing science fiction stories every week. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.